Hey everybody, and happy to the first of hopefully many after parties with Kiera, where I talk about my favorite wine of the evening, or my favorite thing I learned, or my favorite thing that was said in a class or tasting or event, and just share that with everyone who didn't get to attend the event. So tonight's class was all about wines of Italy, eclectic wines of Italy, so grapes you might not have heard of before, or regions you might not be aware of, or styles of wine that you might not know existed. So one of my favorites, and you know I don't believe in favorites because it's all situational, but I think this Lambrusco really stole my heart tonight. So this is Lambrusco. It's a Rosé Lambrusco by Cantina della Volta, and it is a Metodo Classico. So it's made in the champagne method, not in the typical Charmat or tank method that most Lambruscos are made in. And so if you are hearing Lambrusco and you're like, wait, is she serving sweet, sparkling jug wine in these classes? I don't know about that. It is not. And in the Americas, we think that Riunite Lambrusco is Lambrusco, and that is the style of the grape, but it is not. This only one small part of the style. Unfortunately, it just made up a huge majority of what Italy exported to the US in terms of Lambrusco during the 70s and 80s specifically. And like, we still can't get rid of the reputation that Lambrusco is this sweet Kool-Aid-like wine that comes in a big gallon jug. Lambrusco is the name of the grape. We're primarily in Emilia-Romagna here in the northern part of central Italy, so on the eastern side of Italy. That's where all the Parmesan Reggiano is coming from, where they have these huge Parmesan warehouses, which is awesome because if I can drink wine like this and eat Parmesan cheese every day for the rest of my life, I think I just need to move there. But I digress. So Emilia-Romagna is the region, and Lambrusco is the name of the actual grape. It is a red grape, so you can make red wine from Lambrusco. You can make white wine if you just press the juice off the skins of the grape real quickly, or you can make, like this one is, a rosé Lambrusco. Most Lambrusco is made, like we said, according to the Charmat or tank method, and that is where they take all of the grapes that are harvested and they pull it into big tanks. After they ferment it into still wine, then they're going to put that still wine into these big tanks. They're going to add some yeast and some sugar to kind of kickstart a second fermentation process that is going to happen all within the cohesive unit of wine in these big tanks. That's going to create alcohol, great, and carbon dioxide. And because these tanks are sealed, that carbon dioxide is going to stay within the bottles, trapped within the tank itself, the liquid, and that carbon dioxide is now dissolved into the liquid, which when we open the bottles, thus creates the bubbles and the fun stuff that we love. There's three reasons why this is great. For one, it is labor not intensive. So it doesn't take a lot of people or labor to make this happen in big tanks. Also, it is a lot more time conducive. So it doesn't take as much time to make sparkling wine like this. And for those two reasons, it is much cheaper. It's also not going to impart the yeasty, brioche, biscuity flavors in your sparkling wines like making wine in the champagne method does. So if you want the wine to be like fresh, bright, and fruity and don't want to have those notes that the yeast is going to give, then the tank method might be perfect. So classically, a lot of your Proseccos or Lambruscos are going to be made according to this method. This producer, however, though, and just want to see this bottle again, it's such a gorgeous bottle, super, super elegant, Cantina della Volta, they're making this in the Metodo Classico, or the Italian way of saying the champagne method, or traditional method, or méthode champenoise, however you want to say it, all means the same thing. And that is that the second fermentation process doesn't happen in a big tank, but in each individual bottle. So they're going to harvest the grapes, they're going to make their still wine, they're going to make whatever blend or cuvee they want. That liquid goes into this bottle, and then yeast and a little bit of sugar goes into this. Beer cap right on top starts a secondary fermentation process right in the individual bottle. That creates all of that trapped carbon dioxide, creating sparkling wine. And then traditional champagne laws were going to require that champagne be aged for 1.5 years sealed with all of that yeast still in the bottle. That's going to create those biscuity, brioche aromatics and flavors and texture profile, which is super delightful. I love really brioche, biscuity sparkling wines. So that's the traditional method, and that's the traditional recommendation or standard is to age the wine for 1.5 years on the lees. Cantina della Volta, though, is like, I understood the assignment. Okay, we're gonna do that for 4 years. So this wine was aged for 4 years on the lees before they do what's called désgorgement, which is when they basically expel or get rid of the yeast, seal it with a regular champagne top and a cage for then bottle aging before it gets released into the market. So this wine is incredibly brioche and biscuity, but it has such a fine, like tight bubble structure that is just so elegant. It is truly a divine experience to be tasting and smelling their wines. So the bubbles just kind of dance across your tongue, almost like fairies. They're not going to be big cannonballs exploding, but very firm. So they don't dissipate or evaporate off your tongue like a Prosecco would be, or anything made in that tank method or Charmat method. It's a little bit more of a firm bubble structure, really tight linear, but really tiny bubbles. And it smells like if you were to make a strawberry and apricot tart, and the crust and stuff like that all around the outside, homemade, of course, not that I would make it. Baking in the oven, and all the butter is kind of sizzling on the top of the crust, and it's turning brown, and you're just getting all of those aromatics at just the first whiff. Such a super pale color, almost more like peach rather than pink, and super, super delightful wine. I am going to be drinking this with Thanksgiving, but honestly, I could drink it every day, all day, and be perfectly happy. So don't think that Lambrusco is sweet, although it can be. Don't think that Lambrusco is red always, although it can be. And don't think that Lambrusco is always Charmat or tank method, although it can be. Be open to trying new things and learning that not all wines are made the same. So until I see you at the next after party, I hope you have a great day. Cheers.